Today we're going to be talking about A Quiet Place 2, starring Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, and written and directed by John Krasinski. A Quiet Place 2 literally starts off moments after the first one ended, so it basically starts off with the family going off into the wild after the events of the first film. As the family leaves the house, we are now introduced to a new character, played by actor Cillian Murphy. Can we get a better picture? In this film, the family from the previous film, they're basically trying to find a better place, some peace, and some way out of this whole apocalypse thing that they're going through. And what's pretty cool is that Cillian Murphy's character is basically saying, like, there's no way out, this is what it is, leave me alone, I want no part of your quest. It was definitely pretty cool to see Cillian Murphy return to another apocalyptic type movie. I think the last time we saw him in one was 28 Days Later, so it was definitely very cool to see him return to the genre. I won't go into any spoiler details, I won't give anything away. I'm just going to kind of go off what we see in the trailer. If you enjoyed the first film, you'll definitely enjoy this one. This film does not change the lore at all. It doesn't take anything away from the mythology from the previous film. It literally starts off right after the first one. So basically, if you wanted to watch the first one and this one back to back, you definitely could, and it would not change anything. It's almost like you're watching Halloween 1 and Halloween Part 2 back to back. So I would definitely say this movie accompanies the first one very well. Like we see in the trailer, we get to see how the pandemonium starts in this small little town, and basically how everything is just kind of going chaotic and everything's going kind of crazy. People are freaking out, and we get to see a little bit more how the aliens look. So they're more in bright light in this opening scene where it's kind of during the day. So you get to see what they kind of look like a little bit more. They're not so much in the shadows like they were in the first film. Emily Blunt and actor Cillian Murphy carried the movie very well as the movie's main leads. So in this movie, not only are we dealing with Emily Blunt's character and her children and her newborn baby, we're not only dealing with the trauma that they just experienced from the previous film. When we're introduced to Cillian Murphy's character, we actually get to understand that the trauma that he was dealing with also during the events of the first film. So we're not just dealing with one family, we're also dealing with someone else's experience as well. So I thought that combination of the two families was very interesting. If you like the first film, you'll definitely like this film as well. I was a little hesitant, a little nervous, because I knew actor and writer and director John Krasinski was not really wanting to make a sequel. And however, since the first one did so well, the studios were like, no, you got to make a sequel to the first one because you got to make us more money. And he was kind of like, well, that's all I kind of had. You know, I didn't have any ideas for another movie, so I don't know. So with the first one and the second one, it looks like we might be even getting a third film. So it definitely looks like we're getting a Quiet Place universe, which might be pretty cool because I feel like this movie is doing what Cloverfield could not. So I think this actually might be a pretty good franchise. Hopefully they don't ruin it. This film is actually pretty enjoyable and it goes by pretty quick. I was actually pretty surprised when it ended. It kind of has an abrupt ending, but I'm sure it's done with purpose. So I kind of won't question it, but it is kind of abrupt. But the time goes by really fast in this movie, and like I said, it kind of opens up to a universe. There's some moments where a couple of the child characters do something stupid. I won't go too much into detail, but there are moments where there's some stupidness going on. It's not like Army of the Dead stupidness, where it's one after another. It's a couple parts here and there, nothing too crazy, but there are a couple stupid moments, but I guess that's something you have to do in a scary movie. I recommend, if you're going to see a movie called A Quiet Place or A Quiet Place Part 2, or even Part 3 when it comes out, do not go into a movie that's very quiet and eat a bag of corn nuts like I did. It was hard to finish the bag. I think I opened the bag and maybe got a couple handfuls in, and I could not finish the bag because I was like, I don't want to be that guy. So yeah, note to self, don't eat loud things in this movie unless the theater's empty. If you are comfortable to go see this in the theater, go check it out before the theaters start getting crowded in the summer, because I have a feeling once it starts getting hotter, like in July, August, I think the theaters will start getting more crowded because not everyone has air conditioning. So I would definitely go check it out if you feel comfortable while the theaters are still relatively empty. I'm going to give A Quiet Place Part 2 a B+. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm Mike the Movie Misfit, and I'll see you at the movies.
Get more out of life. Go out to a movie.